It's no secret that I absolutely love using Capture One, not only to tether and take my food photos, but also for organization, editing, and post-production work. So if you're also an avid user of Capture One, and even if you're not, but you're looking to move to a more streamlined program, then in today's video, I'm sharing my favorite ways to customize the program so that my workflow is faster and that my images look beautiful. So let's jump straight into it. So when you first open up Capture One, you're going to actually be taken to a default workspace that actually comes with the program. And then on the left-hand side is what you call the Tool tab. And here you have a variety of tools that have been created by Capture One. So if we go under the Adjust Tool tab, you can see that there's various tools that are used for editing your food photos. Now, some of them are in the pinnable area, such as the histogram and the Layers Tool tab. And then in the scrollable areas, you have a few other tools such as style brushes, smart adjustments, white balance, etc. Now, the cool thing about Capture One is that I can actually create my own tool tab with tools that I like based on the tools that I like to use when making adjustments, as well as the order in which I use them when I'm editing. So let me show you how I create my customized tool tab. I'm going to start off by clicking these three buttons over here in the Tools tab. I'm then going to click Add Tool tab and then Custom Tool tab to create my own personalized version. So let's just name this food, and then we can use any icon we want, such as a number or even an emoji. So I'm going to just add one for now. Now the Tool tab has been created, and you can actually see that there's no actual tools under here, but we're going to populate that in just a moment. However, if you look at the Tool tab across the top, you'll notice that the number one tool tab that we just created doesn't appear here. So what you need to do is actually stretch out the width of your tool tab, and you can now see all the various tool tab headings over here, including the number one that I just created. Alternatively, you can also press these two orange arrows to further expose any hidden tool tabs. So now that I've actually created my tool tab, let's populate this with the various tools that we use on a daily basis to make adjustments to an image. So what I now need to do is right click and then add tool to start populating this area. So the first tool that I want to add is my histogram, because I like to keep an eye on all the pixels and how they're shifting and behaving as I make various adjustments. After that, I like to add my tools based on three main areas that I edit: the exposure, the contrast, and then the colors. So I'm actually going to quickly start adding in all those tools based on that order that I like to use. And I'm going to speed up the video so you don't have to sit here while I add every single one. When I'm finished, this is what my customized tool tab looks like for editing. So you can see that the first few tools deal with exposure, the next few deal with contrast, and then the last few deal with color. Now, the cool thing is that I can actually change around the order by just dragging it around and slotting it exactly where I want it to be to suit my editing workflow. Now, you'll also probably notice that the layers is the last tool that's actually in my tool tab, and that's because I like to make all my global adjustments first before I start working on my local adjustments. Now, to further customize, I actually like to pull out the layers tab into my viewer area when I'm ready to make actual local adjustments to my picture. You can actually pull out any tab you want into your viewer area, especially whilst you're making that adjustment, and then slot it back up into the sidebar. Now, another customization I also like to do within my workspace is to the film strip that's currently to the right of my workspace. So this is basically all the images that I've taken in this session. Now, when I'm editing my images, I don't really want to see this whole film strip, so I can actually hide this. And that way, my full focus is on that one single image that's actually in my browser area whilst I'm editing. So what I now need to do is head into the View option across the top, click on Customize Browser, and then enable Auto Hide Mode. And when I do that, you can see that the browser area where the film strip was actually disappears. And I can actually bring it back by just clicking on the little arrow that's in the corner. And this kind of just gives me a little bit more space around my image to pull out certain tabs that I'm working with whilst I'm editing. So now I have a great flow for editing where I'm adjusting my exposure first, then my contrast, then my colors, then my local adjustments. I've actually hidden the film strip so that I can focus solely on my main image inside my viewer. Now, before I head into more ways that I customize my workspace, I just want to give you a heads up on my free masterclass that I'm running all about building a successful and thriving food photography business. I'm pointing out the most common food photography mistakes that most food photographers are making and how you can avoid these, the marketing techniques that are working right now in food photography in order to book your dream clients, as well as my complete cold pitch process that you can steal to get more clients into your business. So the details of this masterclass are linked below. It's completely free to attend. Okay, back to customization. Now, another quick customization that's actually available inside Capture One is to change the color of the viewer. So the viewer is actually your central area where your main image is that you're editing. And currently you can see that the background behind my image is a dark gray. Now I can change this to black, to light gray, to white, and based on what image I'm editing and where it's going to end up, I actually like to change the color of my viewer. So as an example, when I'm editing dark moody images like the one that you see on the screen, I like to keep the workspace behind the image either a dark gray or a black. And then when I'm editing a light airy image, I like to use a white background as this really helps me to gauge my exposure levels as well as my white balance when I'm editing. So in this example over here, it's a light airy image. I've kept the workspace background white just to help me when it comes to adjusting exposure, highlights, as well as white balance. You can see if I warm it up too much, compared to the white background, it looks far too warm. And if I then cool it down too much, again, I compare this to the white background to gauge where is the correct white balance. Now, another thing that I really like to customize, especially when I'm shooting, is to add a slight edit onto my raw files and then have that edit actually carry through over to the remaining images as they come through on Tether. So whenever I'm shooting, I actually like to combine the lighting that I have on set with the creative vision that I have for editing for that particular image. So it's really helpful for me to have like a quick edit on my images as they're coming through on tethering. So once the first image comes through, what I do is I go ahead and add a quick edit based on like exposure changes, contrast changes, and color. And then the cool thing about Capture One is I can then go into the tethering tool tab. I head down to next capture adjustments, and then under metadata, I can either copy from primary, which is the first image that was taken in that session, or copied from last, which would then copy the edit that was on the last image that you take before you take your next image on Tether. So bear that in mind the next time you're tethering into Capture One. Now, another place that you can quickly come in and do some customization is on layering and masks. So one of my favorite features of Capture One is the ability to use layers to make local adjustments to my photos. So if I have a look at this image of kale, you can see that I've got quite a few layers going on here. Now, when I turn the mask on, you can see that currently my mask color is actually very similar to the background. So when I actually toggle the mask on and off, it's actually very hard to differentiate the mask from the actual color of the background and the various food items that are in this photo. So I can actually come in and customize the color and opacity of my mask depending on the photo I'm editing. So for this particular photo, I want to choose a mask color that's definitely not blue. So I want a color that's vastly different. And this way I'll be able to see exactly where the mask has been placed. So in order to change the color of your mask, you want to head into the Capture One tool across the top, head into settings. Now under appearance, I can actually go down to layers and change the color of the mask. So if I just click on the blue right now, this will open up a new tab and I can go in and not only change the color of the mask I'm using, but also change the opacity. So I like to leave the opacity to about 50% so I can actually see through the mask while I'm making changes. And then when it comes to colors, I normally like to keep my mask to either a green or a purple. And the reason I choose these colors is that normally the food that I'm photographing is not green or purple. So it's just easy to use those colors. And then just in case I'm actually photographing something like a salad, which is also green, I can always come in and change the color of the mask here. But the default mask color I like to use is green and then leave the opacity to 50%. So now when I actually go back to my kale image and I toggle my mask on and off, I can clearly see which parts of the image have the mask by looking at the green parts and which parts of the image don't. Now, once you've actually got your customized workspace, you now need to save this so that anytime you create a new session, and you come back to do any work inside Capture One, this customized workspace is actually safe for you to start right away. So once you've made all these customizations and you're really comfortable and happy, you then want to head up to Windows, Customize Workspace, and then save your workspace. And it's actually going to prompt you to name this as well. So you can just name this as your brand or your name or your studio, so that the next time you log into Capture One, it will automatically start using this workspace instead of any other one. And just in case you think, hey, I've messed up, you can always default to the default workspace as well. Now, Capture One is just one of the tools that have really helped to level up my food photos. Now, if you want to know what other must-have purchases you need in your food photography business to not only take stunning food photos, but also to make more money, then check out this video where I go through all the other purchases I've made, whether it's software, gear, or courses to make food photography a six-figure business for me. I'll catch you in that video.